What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kind of Funny's MCU in Review. This is episode 2, where we are reviewing The Incredible Hulk each and every week leading up to the release of Avengers Infinity War, starting in January.
I didn't look at him.
Ending in May. We're going to be doing a review of a different MCU movie. We're going to do a whole review discussion. At the end of the episode, we will rank the movies and see where they all land in our official Kind of Funny ranking of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, to help me, I bought a moleskin notebook.
Oh,
the official Marvel. Yeah.
If you're an audio listener, it's got Captain America on it.
It's
really
real fun.
shiny.
And if you're an audio listener, this show is available as a podcast. Right now, you can get it on soundcloud.com/kindoffunnyreviews. It has been approved for iTunes and podcast services. So very shortly, probably right now, if not next week, it will be available on podcast services. Where, Greg?
Around the globe.
I'd like to think that all of us are audio listeners.
Shut up, Andy.
Yeah, shut up.
Thanks
I'm
for
Tim Gettys.
good show today, guys.
This is Andy Cortez. This is Greg Miller. And that right there, the beautiful Nick Scarpino. But speaking of...
And behind the camera.
Yeah, we got Big Kev Dog, Kevin
Kev
Coelho.
Dog. Well, why is it so dark? It's so dark over there.
The Kev Cam doesn't work anymore, so what's the point?
What is
All
the
right,
point?
Fair point.
Right?
Fair point. Yeah, that's
Good
true.
call.
This is the first time I believe Kevin's ever been the member of any Kind of Funny podcast. He gets named. He's in the intro. He's a point.
Yeah.
I believe in the animated intro we have to this, right? Little cartoon version of him comes out as Fat Spider-Man. It's adorable.
Yeah,
We don't.
Oh, no? Did I dream that?
Never got it made.
So I'm going to use this notebook to chronicle our journey through the MCU. Originally, they have all the Avengers on these little moleskin notebooks.
You didn't go for Hawkeye.
I did not.
Weird.
I did not.
Shocker.
But there was a Spider-Man one. I'm like, obviously, I want the Spider-Man one.
Mm-hmm.
That was $90. It was limited edition. I was like,
$90?
nah, $15. Captain
If you
America,
want
I
Greg
guess.
with a white Sharpie, we'll draw a Spider-Man on the back
I
of that.
appreciate
will.
it. I
I will.
appreciate it. Now, I know a lot of people at home are like, but wait, Tim has horrible handwriting. That's true. I do.
Like a
So
little
what did I
kid.
do instead?
Please tell me you have GX
I still
transcribed
printed
it.
things out.
Oh, you print and paste it
I
in.
printed
No, you print and
and then
staple it in.
stapled things.
Wow.
You're fucking weird.
That is
advanced.
Yeah,
bizarre.
welcome into my mind, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome into my mind.
Welcome into his mind, everybody.
I'm here.
So we're starting out. Please subscribe, youtube.com/kindoffunny to see the show each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Or like I said earlier, podcast services around the globe. What you got for me?
Me and Andy are playing around with his members only jacket.
Oh,
I want you to. Here's the thing about that. I think
here
it's
we go.
cool,
Thanks.
but I think you should take like the little keychain thing off of it and just keep take off the tag. It's weird to have it on there. I think you're supposed to do
yeah,
that.
I always
aren't
do
you?
that. I take it
Nah,
off.
man. It's like when you never take the fucking sticker off of the hats.
But you do in 2017.
what?
Yeah, Cool Greg
2018
does. If
prove it.
Cool Greg does it, then that makes it the
true.
right
That
thing.
makes it
Today,
cool.
we're talking about The Incredible Hulk, the second movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, released on June 13th, 2008, just a little over a month after Iron Man. Directed by Louis Leterrier.
I'm gonna say, let's say Leterrier. Let's just
If we say it, it's said.
let's have a consensus here at this table how to say it, and then if we're wrong, at least we're all wrong.
I'm going
together.
Leterrier, and if you guys vote against me, then so be it.
Leterrier. You want to do Leterrier?
Leterrier.
Let's do Leterrier.
That sounds
feels
fancy
right.
of
That
Leterrier.
feels right.
Leterrier.
Louis Leterrier.
Well, I'm sick of
Pass
that.
the Leterrier.
Ba-bam.
Yeah,
Good
I like that.
song,
I like
dude.
that a lot.
It's a great
What
song.
has he directed, Nick? Off the top of your head, do you know?
No, I don't. In fact,
Now
I had to
You
look it
See
up.
Me
There you
is
go.
one of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Google all
Well,
this
there was
stuff.
another one that he did that wasn't recognizable.
The Brothers Grimsby.
No.
Is that real? Because you said it like you're making it
He
up.
did that.
another
Okay.
one?
Yeah.
Do you want me to open up
I know what
IMDb?
he's.
No,
I
I'm
know
not
what
about
he's
the IMDb on
directing in the
No,
future.
it doesn't really matter. If Nick knew off the top of his head.
No,
that'd be
no,
like,
I'm not
one of
familiar
Nick's
with
things,
him
'cause
that
Nick
much.
knows directors pretty well.
He's directing he co-wrote the Ready Player One movie that's coming out.
Oh, really?
Mm.
I'm sure that's not going to be a
He did the
mess.
Transporter. I think that's what he got big
Oh.
There
for.
you go.
That was the big one for him.
This movie had a budget of $150 million. For reference,
Oh, he did
Iron
Clash of
Man
the Titans
had a
also.
budget of $140.
Oh,
So this
wow.
cost more to
Back the
That's
wrong horse.
You got
interesting.
to imagine because of the CG
Yeah,
of the Hulk.
yeah, the full
and
character.
You
the
gotta be
abomination.
bewildered how this movie looks so much worse than Iron Man.
But Iron Man is also like there's a lot of CG in Iron Man, like a lot.
Yeah, and it looks good.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
Yeah,
Eh,
100%.
I don't think
Comparatively.
Oh,
yeah,
Hulk looks like
comparatively-
shit in this movie,
The
dude.
problem is, like,
Iron Man looks
I
pretty
just,
bad, too.
I
No.
just
You're
feel
wrong.
like
Take
Iron
it back.
Man one?
Take it back.
But here's the
No,
thing,
I
guys.
stand by it.
Metal is a lot easier to make.
There's
like,
no
look like a
moving
shark.
parts.
Yeah.
There's no.
Well, it's also
There are a
like
lot of moving
skin.
parts.
But,
This
but
stuff happens
there's
all-
there's no skin. There's no muscle deformation. The thing that I read about in the on the wiki page or whatever is that they wanted this Hulk to look super fucking shredded. So it was like, no, this Hulk, we don't like the way he looked in Ang Lee's version. This Hulk has zero body fat. He is like the he is the
perfect-
epitome of like the perfect build of a monster or whatever.
Okay.
And so that's why they really accentuated whenever he'd move.
His
You'd see
muscles
his
move and
his
all
pectorals.
in the pecs,
Yeah, it looked really bizarre.
Well-
there was like 2 shots where I was like, okay, this looks pretty good, and the rest of it just didn't look great.
I think it was toward the end too, because toward the end when he started fighting Abomination, I'm like, it's getting better. There are some shots here that look a little more realistic. The shots that I thought did not look that great were toward the beginning, like when he's fighting in broad daylight in the middle of the field on the campus. I was like, this.
I mean,
is,
they
this
really
is tough.
they
And
really
his
go
skin looked
all
like
in.
They're like,
They go
hey,
all in on the close-ups. It's
look
like,
at
you
this.
shouldn't close up. Like this should be a faraway shot, kind of blurry, a lot of movement.
A long time ago, like looking at skin, this looked good.
Oh, it looked good for the time.
For the
sure.
time, I think that
It looks
shows
good,
how
I
much
think-
we've grown.
Like I distinctly remember watching Ang Lee's Hulk and then watching this and being like, wow, this looks way better. But I think we're spoiled because we've seen the Hulk
10 years
now,
later.
10 years later.
The
where it's
scene
like,
that stood out to me
he's
was
so much better.
when he is in the waterfall with Liv Tyler's character.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there next to her.
Yeah.
And it's really dark, but you could see his skin's kind of like glistening with the water or whatever. And for a second, I thought, this might be an animatronic. This looks so convincing. And then it turns out it wasn't, because then he like kind of did some weird turn and looked odd or
I
whatever.
thought the whole time
But
in that scene he looked too shiny.
I
Yeah, I
did,
thought it was
yeah,
really
for
shiny.
sure, for
Really
sure.
shiny the
but
whole
they
time.
did go after. They were saying that again, this is according to the wiki pages or whatever, but that they wanted the amount of detail that Gollum got in Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings is like 5 years older than this, and it still looks better, in my opinion.
Doesn't look as good as
Oscar-winning
Clerks,
film.
though.
Oscar-winning film.
Yeah, like
Best
apparently,
picture.
the little known fact about Clerks, Jason Mewes, totally CG in that movie.
Andy Serkis plays Jason Mewes.
So the budget was 150 million, and the box office was 263 million.
That's not good.
So
Significantly less than
bad
Iron
news,
Man.
not good, because Iron Man got 585 million,
Right.
which even then compared to the numbers we're seeing nowadays, nothing even close.
Made its money
right?
back though.
So it did make its money back.
Yeah.
It did. So now like we do every week, we're going to talk about the plot, the villain, the action, the comedy, how it stands alone, and how it builds.
That's all the
universe.
Easter eggs you had for me?
Oh no, there's way more Easter eggs.
Oh, okay.
Easter eggs come
Oh,
later
man.
after this.
I feel like
Jesus is coming.
I feel like we
Greg.
got a bunch last time in the beginning.
Well,
yeah.
that
This one
was
has a
because
ton.
the Iron Man setting up the whole universe. There was a lot of like random things of like, did you know Disney didn't buy him yet? All
And
that
for
stuff.
30 minutes, we talked about X-Men and shit like that.
Ah, let's do that again.
There was a lot.
Cyclops, man, what a bitch.
So yeah, I mean, overall, what did you guys think about it?
It gets a bad rap.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. I hated it before.
Really?
I remembered hating this movie and being like, "Oh, it's definitely bottom rank," and it's like Iron Man 2 bad.
Well, it's sadly the Marvel movie that's forgotten, right? Like when if you asked anyone to rank, like say it's 15 Marvel movies or however many there was, there 17, 18 so far. If you said name 10 Marvel movies, the Hulk would not be on one of them. You just don't think of them in the same context as you think of Iron Man or Thor.
Even
or
watching
Avengers.
with Jen, she's like, "This is part of the universe."
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
like,
"Yeah,
it
this
is."
is what they're basing it."
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in about 10 years since it came out, and I had totally forgotten all of the
Everything.
the Marvel tie-ins.
Yeah.
I forgot Tony Stark's Easter egg at the end.
Yeah, I totally forgot that he
seeing
was in
Stark
it.
Industries and seeing like all
Which is
like,
all over the
I was like,
place.
wow, I
yeah.
totally
so
forgot all
that's where
this
some
stuff.
of the Easter eggs come in.
There's so many Easter eggs. In this
So
movie.
many Stark
So
Industries
many.
shit everywhere. Like Stark Industries made that like Sonic boom cannon thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That held it back. Like you see Stark Industries on the side of that.
Way to fuck that up, Stark Industries. That didn't work like that worked like shit.
Hey man, you can't knock a 10 out of 10 every time. You got to swing the bat, see what happens.
Swing the
Touchdown.
bad, swing for the
bad.
fences.
I mean,
man.
if he
Not
didn't
good
have
work.
those shields things, he would have been fucked.
He would have been
You're right.
totally
Yeah.
fucked.
It's true.
I really liked his usage of like random, like the shields in
Yeah.
that scene, and then at the end using
cop car,
the
the
cop
cop
car
car.
as
Oh,
boxing
as
gloves.
boxing gloves?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was
I
pretty
did.
random.
Yeah, I didn't hate the movie as much as I thought I would.
Did you hate the movie?
Did you hate it?
No. But like, this is all like revisionist history thinking like, oh man, we're gonna have to watch the Hulk and fuck
Yeah.
the Hulk. The Hulk sucks or whatever. The original movie, or like this one that we just watched, wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Now at the end, the ending sequences of like the final fight.
Abomination's still stupid.
I mean, just the whole
Well,
sequence
it's
with them.
stupid, but he knocks him out at the end, and he's like, "Cool, he's your problem."
See you
I'm like, what
later.
the fuck's
That
happen?
motherfucker's gonna
That's what
wake
wakes
up.
Exactly. Like I was like, wait, so he didn't kill it?
Didn't they have like a way to like that other scientist figured out a way to like
The antidote.
the antidote thing.
Yeah, but then
Granted, they never
he got
saw
big
it.
brain because he's gonna become what villain?
I mean, but
leader,
this,
the leader.
this isn't a
The
normal
leader.
being. I mean, he could get up at any second and have a second win and destroy
Yeah.
all of the civilians that came to fucking watch this.
I
Like,
know, right?
Like, get away, dude. You're
Why
gonna
did mom
die.
bring her kid or whatever?
I don't
at one point?
know.
Yeah.
What an
So that
irresponsible
guy,
lady.
the scientist, in the comics, Stearns is the green-skinned villain with the elongated cranium named the Leader. But in the movie, he's still a simple doctor looking to solve life's mysteries while also storing samples of the Hulk's blood for a rainy day. When he's attacked in his laboratory laboratory and infected with Banner's irradiated blood. His head begins to grow for just a second, and a sick grin takes over his face. It was brief and without explanation, but comic book fans knew that the filmmakers were hinting at the leader.
Creepy smile.
He's definitely coming back in this
I would
next
really hope that he would eventually, because I think that'd be a cool throwback.
Infinity, they're like, how many people are supposed to be in it? Like Infinity War's like, we got like 63, 89. It's like fucking leader comes in like, where the fuck have you been, soggy bottom boy? Get out of here.
Random ass people in this movie. First off, shout out to Ty Burrell, the dad from Modern Family,
yeah.
which I'm just like, I can't
totally
take you
forgot he was
seriously,
in it.
man.
Right.
Like that's fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
that was weird.
But also, random cameo scientist guy, like the leader dude's random homie,
the guy from
was
Freaks and Geeks.
Guilfoyle from
yeah,
Silicon
right.
Valley,
Yeah.
who is canon in the MCU as Peter Parker's teacher.
Wow.
In Homecoming.
Oh, right.
go.
Are they the
Yeah.
same person?
Wait,
I
it's not
mean,
the
I
same
don't know.
person. No, I don't think it's the same person though.
How do you know?
I think names in the credit. I'll look for it.
He's a teacher, right? He could have been
I don't think that guy was
research
credited.
assistant in college and then gone
like,
and.
I really hope that
Yeah.
that's
Also,
That's
I
fucking
really
cool.
kind of I wish, but I also don't wish that the world really worked that way, where you could just bribe anyone with a big pizza. Hey, got a big.
Kind of
got
does.
extra
In
large
college, it
cheese, my
totally
friend. The
works
guy's
that
like,
way.
"Thank
Let's
you
go to
very much." I
SF
was
State
like,
right
"Thanks
now.
for the cheese."
I'll be on the girls' volleyball team if we bring 3 pizzas.
Give me access to your
and also
email
Lou
accounts.
Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno.
Well,
that was
the
awesome.
one that I totally forgot about. Well, I mean, I forgot all the cameos from this movie. First off, in terms of revisionist history, I remember watching this in theaters and being like I am now. Where I was like, that wasn't bad. That was whatever. Never thinking about it again because you don't have to think about it. And that's how I felt coming into this one. But yeah, Lou Ferrigno, and then also I forgot about the Bill Bixby
Yes,
cameo
I didn't
when
I
he
didn't
sat down and turned on
realize
Portuguese TV.
that
I was
was
like,
him.
oh, Bill Bixby from the Incredible Hulk TV show.
Yeah, that was what
who
so
passed away.
This thing had a lot. This movie had a lot more positives to me than I remember it having. I remember I thought it was going to come in and quasi enjoy it, but it was going to have some problems, and actually that ended up hitting on the mark. But there were a lot of throwbacks and a lot of things in this that I was like, oh shit, they really were trying here.
To make
they
a
were
good
trying
Hulk
to make
movie.
something that also paid homage to like the original Hulk series. Obviously, Lou Ferrigno, the green eyes where he looks up and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all
that
of a
was
sudden
awesome.
it's like vignetted and he's got green eyes, which
And
is
the
a direct
shadow,
callback to the
yeah.
original show.
Well, the entire intro was a remake
Yeah,
of the
the-
intro from
I
1978.
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Then of course there's the famous he's walking and it's that
And
sad
that song's
song where
playing.
he's walking.
Honestly, they did
But it
such a
works.
good job of not making that corny.
Yeah.
I know.
Because like him walking and that music playing, they didn't. It wasn't too ham-fisted. Where I feel like they made it work within the score instead of it just being straight up the song.
And it was the
Right.
only time. That was the only time we heard it, right? You weren't coming back and it wasn't every
no.
time
There
we
was
saw
one more
Betty. It was
cue
like,
of it. There was one more cue
Was
of
there?
it. Yeah, when in the lab when he was like getting ready to be put down. And
Oh,
Betty was, like,
interesting.
looking at
Okay,
him.
so they brought
but it
that
was
theme
subtle
back.
as fuck. Like it was artfully done.
So that's my thing is I liked the first 2/3 of the movie, right? I like the setup. It actually makes me a little sad because I'm like, oh man, Ed Norton I think he brought a lot more complexities to the character. Granted, we have not seen a Mark Ruffalo like standalone Hulk movie, and I don't think we're actually going to. I think the closest we're going to get to that is Thor Ragnarok for the time being. But I really like
Well, Universal has the rights as well, so that's a whole other
good
thing.
point. I really liked Ed Norton in this, and I really liked Tyler in this, and I was like,
I did not like Liv Tyler. I don't like Liv Tyler most of the time.
I thought their chemistry was horrible, and also I didn't like it.
I loved Liv Tyler.
I'm so happy you got Mark
if you
Ruffalo. I
gave
love
me-
Ed Norton, but man,
If you gave me the choice, if you said, Nick, you get a choice of as your Betty Ross, Liv Tyler or Jennifer Connelly, I got to go Jennifer Connelly. But I do
Yeah.
love Liv Tyler. Because Jennifer Connelly she was awesome. She was a great Betty Ross. But I liked this. I thought they had decent chemistry, and I really liked Ed Norton. And I thought the back and forth was more complex than we've ever seen from Mark Ruffalo.
And please give. Well, I don't know. Sadly, they just don't have the chance to give Mark Ruffalo that. Watching this movie, I was very
he's a
much
bum.
like, fuck. I wish this was a Mark Ruffalo movie. I'm also a stickler for continuity. Like I just don't like
Yeah,
switching
right.
roles, which happens. I understand.
Like the Mom and Family Matters.
I stayed away from the wikis because I don't want to ruin the show like some people here. But what I want to know,
Check them out after I was done.
what I
man.
want to know, Tim.
Stop touching his face.
I'm not touching his face at all.
touching him.
Touch me, and I'll touch him.
No.
Now touch.
Just like we're all
completely
touching each other.
circular.
Okay. Now,
Thank
Tim,
you.
you
Now,
touch
Tim, my question is,
the trust, and we'll see if we can electrocute
I
you.
specifically didn't look it up. Why? Whatever happened? Why no Ed Norton? What happened?
So Ed Norton.
What?
That's the thing is it's similar to the Terrence Howard stuff where it's just like the story that I thought was not what it is.
Yeah.
So in 2014, things kind of changed, and he came out with another statement saying, "My feeling was that I experimented and experienced what I wanted to. I really, really enjoyed it, and yet I looked at the balance of time in life that one spends not only making these sorts of films, but then especially putting them out, and the obligations that rightfully come with that. This marks a somewhat different take on the situation than he offered in a Facebook post in July 2010 when he was first announced he wouldn't appear in Avengers, saying, 'It seems it won't work out for me.' He wrote then about continuing on as the Hulk. I sincerely hoped it could happen and be great for everyone, but it hasn't turned out as we all hoped."
So the way the article's saying it is like he didn't want to be known as the Hulk forever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's
I feel like
true.
it came down to money.
Yeah,
though. I feel
I don't
like they
think
were
that's
like,
I had heard that
because
there was
Hold
some
on.
what's up?
that he had a bad relationship with Joss Whedon.
I mean,
We-
those
Okay.
are the rumors.
All right,
There's a lot
that's the
of all that
rumors.
stuff,
All right, cool,
but-
cool.
See, the not wanting to be known as the Hulk would sound real, or sound on point for me because Edward Norton seems like an actor who's an artist,
Yeah.
and doesn't want to just be in pop form.
Because of Birdman.
And
You're
granted,
thinking
it is a
Birdman.
different
I
time.
was thinking American History X for sure. Yeah.
It's a different time with movies, and being the Hulk now means something different than it did 10 years ago. But I mean, Mark Ruffalo still does whatever the fuck he wants and acts in a bunch of different other movies as well. So.
Yeah, I think the landscape definitely has shifted, right? He could have been the Hulk. He could have made it worked out. But I think that, I could be wrong on this, but I think there are rumors that he's hard to work with.
I have heard those
He
rumors.
pushes people
Yeah, yeah.
along.
Or read
I
them.
also wonder if he knew how gigantic this whole thing was going to become.
Well, maybe not, but you have to remember as well, there's all those reports back in the day where they were like, yo, you're going to be in this Marvel movie, we're going to tie you to 6 movies, and you're going to get paid nothing, and that's going to be okay for you. Because like everyone other than Robert Downey Jr. gets paid not an insignificant amount of
nothing,
money,
but
but not getting each one of the people in the Avengers, spoilers, not getting $20 million to be in it. Right, I think probably ScarJo and RDJ are probably the highest paid people. So maybe they were just like, hey, we're going to tie you to this contract, not give you that much money. He's probably like, nah, that's cool. I'm done with it.
I like
like Hemsworth is just finishing his contract right now.
but now he's like talking about wanting to do more.
Heck yeah, he wants to do more because he
I
wants to
felt
stay fucking
very
yacked.
lukewarm on him and both him and Liv Tyler. I just thought, whatever.
I think the fact that he had to play opposite Liv Tyler, I think, muddies his performance in the way that he can't really. And this is me personally, and this is just.
I mean, I totally agree. I thought their chemistry was so off, where there was a lot of scenes of them acting together, and I was like, it felt like they were talking to a CG character.
I did really enjoy the scene that is supposed to hit you, and certainly did hit me when they are in the pizza place and Ty Burrell is there, and she sees him like. That really hit me,
Yeah.
and
a great
I can
moment.
imagine the emotions that sort of go through her mind, and it's like, oh, she totally sold that.
That
That was
pizza
really
place called Stanley's Pizza. Stanley.
The guy, the old man.
Stanley
the
Kubrick
guy
loves
was
this movie, that's why.
Paul
Yeah,
Souls, who voiced of the Hulk in one of the original animated TV series.
That's
This movie was full of those little moments.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy how many they
The
had.
pens that they use, all the same pens they use for the comics. Did you know that, Kevin?
Bix ballpoint pen. I'll be honest. Part of the reason why I love Liv Tyler, if for anyone out there wondering,
Crazy.
a
The
little
music
movie
video
called
crazy.
Armageddon,
Leftovers.
which is the best
Empire
best movie ever
Records.
made. Just want
okay.
everyone to
Wow.
know that,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
I could stay
Also,
awake
the Oscar-winning
just to
franchise Lord of the
hear you
Rings.
scream.
Shut up.
I just
Arwen,
stayed alive at
Lord of the
your
Rings.
eyes.
Come
Yeah,
on,
she
guys.
ruined that movie too.
Oh, she had a weird part in that movie though.
No, she didn't.
She
She
sucked.
just didn't need to be in
that
it. She didn't need to be in that movie at all.
So much
I
of
thought
that
this
movie didn't
movie
make any
was
sense.
way better than I thought going in, because I was with Andy where I was like, oh fuck, we have to watch
Yeah, I was
this
dreading
one.
it for sure.
And by the time it was over, Gia was like, hey, that wasn't bad.
No.
She was like, I thought that was good. The way you guys were talking about this, I thought this was going to be horrible.
guys,
Let's also
I am
put it in context, because what we should have done to set this up was go back and watch Ang Lee's Hulk, which I know is not part of
No,
MCU.
no,
but
not
oh
at all.
motherfuck! By comparison, you watch that movie and directly watch this movie, it's like watching it. It's like, I mean, the Ang Lee's Hulk was like the cerebral, like
He was trying to do something different.
important film, and they were like,
but also a
let's-
comic book, like way
right,
too
but
much
also like
book
comic
movie.
cells and all that stuff. And he fights dogs, and then he fights a storm, and then in this one he fights Abominations. So you're like, well, this one automatically
fights a-
wins. This is like 80
And
points
honestly,
higher.
Abomination, I liked him.
Oh, you're
only-
stupid.
the only
Oh,
thing
I
that
hate
was-
it. I hate it when he
No,
talked.
the character.
No,
No,
that was
wait.
fucking
The
horrible.
Hold on,
character-
Kevin. What are you saying?
So I think Abomination as a villain, fantastic. He's a broken character who's like a soldier that doesn't feel like he can give what he like wants to, and has learned all this shit, and he's like, I just want to be
10 years younger.
20 years younger. I think
was-
he says, yeah.
It was
No,
when
if
they
I
gave
knew
him
it-
the super
whatever.
serum,
Yeah.
the same shit.
That was awesome.
Captain
Captain
America.
America.
Run
Doctor.
past all the fucking tanks and people.
I was.
running.
I'm sorry. So what? Yeah. What's that actor's name?
Tim Roth.
Love him. Right.
So good.
Tim Roth, great. I thought his portrayal was great. I love that he kept getting his ass kicked and then coming back for more and wanting to be smarter and being stronger. It made sense where he turned. It made sense where he turned when he had more serious. You know what I mean? Like I understood it, but when he becomes like fucking Doomsday or whatever,
When
and
his
then he's
head
still
be-
talking. Like,
His head looks like a fucking Goomba from the Mario Brothers movies. I just
Yeah, that
the
was
way he
that,
talked.
That's like the film I thought was really fun. All the stuff in Brazil, and then when he gets to the point where we go on hyperspeed from the fact that when he goes into the Mr. Blue's lab, and then all of a sudden everything just starts happening. I thought that was a little bit ridiculous and crazy.
he was just in
right?
Guatemala. How the fuck did he get to?
Well,
yeah, I like how they gloss over that. He's got no
Yeah, I mean,
passport, no nothing.
yeah.
He's
It's the
just-
same thing where they're like, oh, it's
I love
been
the part
10
where he comes
days
out.
or
He's like,
something.
I don't speak Portuguese. And he's like, where am I? He's like, Guatemala.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck?
That was cool. I like that built the Hulk and it showed that he has no control over who he is.
I thought that was great. No, what my biggest criticism of the film is just the last third of it where we go from, okay, we're going to try to solve this to, oh, by the way, this Mr. Blue character has been a little wishy-washy. Like, we don't know what he's trying to do. We think he's a good guy, but we're not quite sure. But then he helps the Abomination, and why does he do that? And all of a sudden, like, this whole lab's been raided.
I loved that. I thought
but it was just
really
very
clear.
weird because like this whole lab's been raided, and they leave one person with this guy, and then Blonsky just goes from like, I'm this crazy person, then immediately the Abomination. It just felt very rushed. Like, why the hell wouldn't all this stuff be quartered off? Like, why is Blonsky allowed back in here?
He's special agent.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
liked his character, especially coming right off of last week with Obadiah.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I feel like having
We
this
need a
guy
Tony
throughout,
episode.
be a bad guy throughout the whole movie and set it up where he saw the Hulk. So he is a soldier that does feel old and does feel like he's getting obsolete. Seeing the Hulk, see what the Hulk can do,
Old Snake.
and being like, holy shit. Then getting the super soldier serum, and it's like, fuck, being able to run fast, but being like, I want to beat that motherfucking thing. And then kind of doing whatever it takes. And I think that the scientist, him being a little bit like off, it's because he's a weird fucking scientist that's doing it for the science.
Yeah, I see that.
He didn't care about good or bad. He was just like,
Yeah,
I
he was
want to
like, I
see
wanna
this
see
stuff.
what the
It just
fuck
kinda
Anyway,
feels
Kevin
like
has
a,
something to say.
Sorry, I was just going to Tim Roth's character a bunch of times. He's like, you don't deserve this power. And it's like, it's so obvious that he wants to get it that when he gets the chance to become Abomination, like, I think it made total sense. Of course he's going to steal, like, force that scientist to do it.
Oh no, I don't think it. I'm not arguing whether or not it made sense. The
Yeah.
motivations were absolutely there. I just felt rushed. Right?
You
It
just
felt
mean like the leaps of logic. Like,
Well, it was just like a lot happened in 5 minutes, right? We cured the Hulk, maybe we don't know. That place has been raided. Blonsky goes from being kind of like I want this power to being a stone cold kill. I'm gonna kill whoever it takes, and then he also goes to being a monster.
Well, he was already jonesing though, right? Like he was already like wiry
Yeah,
and like sitting on
yeah.
the thing.
He
like-
took the Hulk on mono e Hulko.
Yeah, that's true.
And got
Which I thought was
launched into that tree and was like, holy
like he's dead, like sort of thing.
Why would he do that? That to me made no sense.
when he mouthed off to him?
Yeah, when he
I thought it
mouthed
was
off-
to show that like the serum was fucking with him and making
Yeah,
him more of a wild
yeah, I
card.
guess so. Yeah.
I get that, I guess.
The thing with the serum that was cool, so it's the same super soldier serum, and they make reference to that was made during World War II. This is before Captain America, so that's interesting there. But what's cool is the container, when Ross pulls it off, it said Program Weapon Plus, which is Weapon I was Captain America, and Weapon X, obviously, Wolverine.
Oh wow.
And there's
They
also-
were laying the seeds for when they bought.
There's a portrait of Steve Rogers when Ross is talking to Blonsky.
No
about the
shit,
super
really?
Soldier thing. Yeah.
Is
I read that. I didn't see it. I tried
Okay.
finding
There's
it, but
also
it is.
like a,
does
a
this
document in
confirm-
the background.
does
It's
this
like,
confirm-
Disney buying Fox?
Donald Trump will be president.
But shout out to William Hurt though.
Does it confirm what?
Does this confirm that like nobody knew that Iron Man? I'm sorry, Captain
America.
America existed? Because Tim Roth's character was like, yeah, the super. Like it didn't seem like he was like, oh, Captain America.
No, I don't think it does.
It was also British, so they
Well,
don't
I mean,
know
but
much about anything.
He was in Europe, like Captain America.
Yeah, that's
Why
an
would-
interesting point,
It's
actually.
kind of finding
That is an interesting point, actually, because I forget what the verbiage is, but it does make it sound like, oh, I heard that was defunct or whatever.
Yeah,
that never
yeah,
went
yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, not exactly.
Right, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and
I was watching the people kept sending us the deleted scenes from Iron Man where they haven't
yeah?
done the voice like modulation, so it is just Jeff Daniels or Jeff Bridges being like, Toner. Like, why are you talking like this?
the talking about Captain America and stuff with the post-credit scene. So it's Tony Stark talking to General Ross about, yo, we're like fucking making a team or whatever.
A lot of suit references.
When Kevin Feige was talking to IndieWire, he said, I'll say that the Tony Stark cameo in Incredible Hulk required us to get ourselves out of a corner. And it kind of fucked them because they didn't really understand what was going to come later than that. He said, referring to the scene in which Tony Stark talks to General Ross about assembling a team, and it's implied that the Hulk is an exile of sorts. The fix was, we do not follow up with that scene in the narrative of any of the subsequent features. But for fans, it was really only people going, hey, wait a minute, what about when Tony Stark walked in the room and talked to General Ross?
Right.
There's a short film on the Captain America DVD that wraps up and explains that. So all the dots are connected. Most of them didn't paint us into a corner, but I would say that's probably the closest one that almost did. And then Feige was even wrong about that. The consultant was actually part of Thor. So like this was like so early on that they're like, fuck, we just got to get a
gotta get some
post-credit
stuff
thing.
going,
And
yeah.
they decided to put the post-credit as a pre-credit because they're like, we don't want people to miss this. And we want them to know. Like, unlike Iron Man, where they're like, oh, the Nick Fury thing's just extra if people want it. After seeing the success of Iron Man, they're like, move that shit up.
Yeah.
It can't be post-credit.
It felt
They need to
so
see-
weird.
Yeah. They
Like,
need
you
to
could
see
tell
Tony Stark.
Yeah.
the movie
Reload.
ends here. Oh, and they just tag this extra
Just
little bit
random ass
on. Yeah.
thing. And then
Reload.
an alternate ending for the film it's on the DVD and shit. You can see Captain America appearing. Like there's this like avalanche, and you see him like
Oh, his body
frozen in the.
Yeah.
the
Was
thing.
that an alternate ending or alternate start? Because the things that I had read seemed to say it was an alternate start where the Hulk was trying to kill himself.
I have
in
it down as
Antarctica.
also alternate ending, but that checks
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
I would-
There was
I
also
would buy
something
that.
about that post credit scene was great for the franchise because Tony Stark was able to, Robert Downey Jr. was able to talk about that scene, about him being in a post credit scene for
while
the
he's
Hulk
touring for
movie
Iron
while
Man?
he's touring for not even for Iron Man for. Maybe,
Kiss Bang
maybe
Bang.
I guess maybe it was Iron Man. Yeah, because it was 2 months apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was him like sort of
That's so smart.
making an effort
Like,
to tie it together.
It's crazy. 10 years after that movie came out, looking back and seeing the seeds being planted.
I mean, what's crazy too is, especially after just watching Iron Man, how different these two movies are.
Yeah.
Where it's like this movie's not funny. Like this movie has a couple things. Like
Yeah.
I really like the way they handled the "You Won't Like Me When I'm Angry."
Yeah, hungry.
when
is
they
Very,
said-
very
yeah,
good.
that was
They had the pink pants.
the purple pants
Purple
joke.
pants, no.
Yeah,
I'll
like
take-
that's
I'll
and
do
the
what
subway
she has.
joke where
Yeah,
he's
he's
like,
like, "You want me to-"
we're
yeah.
we're taking a taxi.
The thunderclap scene was just so bad.
That was bad.
I
mean, that's
love
something
that.
that's
Was it?
When he put out the
Funny.
fire and he saved everyone?
I hated it.
I
I liked
loved
that.
it.
I'm sorry.
I
I liked
loved
that.
it.
I didn't like the Hulk smash part.
Yeah, me too.
You know, the voice of that was Lou Ferrigno?
Oh,
was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you, they make such a big deal nowadays with, and I want to say with the Ang Lee one too, but specifically with Avengers Hulk,
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo Hulk, that they've taken his face and merged it in. Did they do that? Do we know? Did any of your Easter eggs talk about that? Because this guy looks nothing like fucking Edward
I don't
Norton.
think they
Really?
did. It didn't seem like they did.
I don't think he looks like Edward
I thought
Norton.
he had touches of
Yeah,
it.
I think he has touches of it.
Okay.
I think it's way more obvious with Mark Ruffalo. And
Sure.
That probably says something to the sculpting.
they had a
art.
Mark
They had a
Ruffalo already looks
contract
like a
with him.
normal
No,
human
because
turning into the Hulk.
because
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo's like they had to recreate him in 3D, and then it's like
Well, they
it's
have
a
that-
mesh deformer that like just goes to the way the Hulk looks and back to the way Ruffalo looks. But this one, you're right. I mean, I totally didn't think he'd look like Edward Norton.
They didn't look like they had that connection, which I didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to your earlier point where you're like, yeah, they really didn't have their shit together. Think about this. Like, I read another piece of the trivia where they're talking about, yeah, they really didn't really know what they were going to do. So even the William Hurt character, what's his name? General Thundernuts?
Thunderbolt Ross.
General Thunderbolt Ross.
Thunder
When's
something
the next
Ross.
time he comes back into the series?
Civil War.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like, think about that. You're like, that's a major character in the Hulk universe that doesn't really, and he doesn't really do anything even in Civil War. He's like,
Well,
you guys can't do this. Peace out. I'm getting a burrito, and then never comes back.
I
Yeah.
believe they added that scene only to bring him in, like in the next few movies, as a stronger character to remind you that he exists.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
that
that's
makes
weird that
sense.
they're going to
Yeah.
utilize him. But it's cool that they threw him that bone. But yeah, you really do, and I feel like that that is another one of the reasons why this does feel a little like an outlier in the series, where you just could tell like
It's the
it was
only
early,
one.
It just really doesn't
Well-
work well in the. I mean, it's continuity, but it's not really.
That's the thing. It's kind of
continuity.
shoehorned in with like there's a lot of Stark Industries and
Shield.
Shield.
It's also the first time
references.
we've seen any of the characters change actor, so that's a big deal too, right? Where it's like,
Well-
that's part of the reason why is because Mark Ruffalo.
Terrence
didn't-
Howard.
Oh, good point. Good point.
I
Sorry,
really
Iron
feel
Man
the
did
reason
change.
why this movie doesn't fit in is because it is not a Marvel Studios movie. This is a Universal movie, right?
That's true. Too. Well,
I
It's got the
think-
Marvel
yeah.
Studios label on it though.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, in the beginning.
When it starts off.
I like one of the biggest things that like I notice is like the actual like color gradient of this movie has a green tinge to all of it,
Oh, sure.
and like that it just
they don't do that. in
they
the
don't
other
do
ones.
that. I remember a long time ago, Nick was telling me that all the Marvel movies are shot with the same camera to have like the same like that
They are past a
universal.
certain point.
They
These
call it
the
Lucky
first
Lucian.
two.
Yeah.
The first two
I-
were shot on.
Bring
These were
that
shot
in.
on film for sure. I don't know that they were really acquiring digitally. But yeah, I think starting with I can't remember when that was, but yeah, they
Alexa's,
moved
right?
over to Alexa. They use Reds every once in a while here and there, but yeah, most of the time it's the Alexa because they like that look. But that's also because of workflow.
Yeah.
because everything's set up for that footage. They just kind of.
But it was
everything
just
kinda in and
it was
out.
just weird because this movie, like, I feel like the movie totally works. It's just funny because it lacks a lot of the comedy.
Yeah.
Even the action scenes, I think, were like just directed differently and just like focused differently. And there's no B plot in this entire movie. Every single thing is chronologically this, then this, then this, then this, following one guy, like just one thing. And I thought that was kind of weird. Like, especially now, there's always like different. Meanwhile, this is happening. This is happening. There's always something else happening.
And they meet up at the end.
You don't think that the
Well, the B plot was sort of the love
Tim
story.
Roth?
Yeah, I was going to say
With him
Tim
and
Roth.
Betty.
Wouldn't
Yeah, I
that
feel
be
like
it?
Tim Roth-
His motivations of becoming the super soldier, becoming Abomination, beating the
yeah,
Hulk.
that's fair.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is like even with that always was immediately propelling the other guy.
Yeah,
too.
well,
Like,
that's the thing.
it
I
was
think they
always
were
one
working
for
in
one.
balance, moving forward the
Yeah.
story. I liked it. It felt more focused.
And I'm down with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We were talking about last week with Iron Man, like, oh, it's nice to have a smaller story. Holy crap, is this a smaller story?
Oh, yeah.
Think about how many characters are in this thing.
Well, it also it's weird to look at too, but they kind of skipped over. There's not a lot explained with the whole Betty Ross and him connection. Like we know they loved each other. We know why he had to leave. You don't really need more than that, right? We're like,
Yeah.
cool, we got it. We're in.
Totally good.
We don't really need those complexities. The one question I do have is like, what happened to Ty Burrell? She's just with this dude, and then all of a sudden,
man,
he's
that
out
guy
Ty Burrell.
Fucked over.
Ty Burrell,
He got fucked over worse than
Hold on.
James
He
Marsden.
becomes
Doc Samson is another superhero. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Was he a
That
medical
character?
therapist?
That character is
Okay.
like becomes some superhero that has super strength.
That'd be awesome if that showed up. In
Yeah, that'd be really cool if it showed up. And
fucking
hey,
the
they got
leader and
42
Ty Burrell
characters.
roll up in fucking Infinity
Like, hey, we're
War.
here
They're like,
too.
we're here to help too. Like, who the fuck are you guys?
Oh, I would love it. If
I did
Tyler
feel the
came
same
back.
way. Like, I guess Ty Burrell just
sucks.
like has to accept.
Yeah, but like, did we like him? Like, I feel like in there, I was
He's
like,
a whiny
he
little bitch and he
snitched
called
on
the
him. Yeah,
cops.
he
So no,
snitched
he's
on
a
him.
snitch.
Get out
What-
of here.
Snitch.
Cool, Greg. What does snitches get?
Stitches.
Yeah. that-
told me high fives back in sixth grade, though.
No.
Good job, Tim.
Cool, Greg said
Always
that-
pushing your brother towards
Yeah,
life.
someone repeat it. Yeah,
Doing some
thank you.
good shit. Trying to see what else fun shit I got here.
So what do we think of the? Are we? I mean, you have points, but we always like meander.
I mean, the plot's as straightforward.
Plot's straightforward.
as Iron Man, and it's probably as straightforward, let's be honest, as most of the Marvel movies. You know, where it's like someone's trying to do something, and there's a bad guy that's trying to do something, and then they have a big fight at the end, and we're good
Well,
to
here's
go.
the thing. Like,
Stan
this is
Lee's
something.
cameo.
I forget who called it out on
cameo.
Twitter,
Great cameo.
but after the most recent one, I don't even remember anymore. But anyways, they're just like, stop making Marvel movies where the hero just fights a villain,
A
that's
different
the
version
of
of
themselves.
himself,
And
yeah.
like when they showed that, I was like, huh. And like here you see it.
Yeah.
Iron Man, Ironmonger, Hulk,
Always, man.
Abomination.
Oh, wait till you get to
Ant-Man.
Iron Man 2.
Fuck. Well, there's like a one-punch fucking fight with
Black
Whiplash.
Panther
Terrible.
and Black Gold Panther.
No, but that's what it looks
Yeah,
like, right? Yeah.
And then Ant-Man and fucking whatever the fuck.
Can
the
we
guy
also
is.
chronicle, Stan Lee's cameos?
Yeah, I have that.
Are we not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's
have
one of the
that
segments.
list.
Calm down, bitch.
Yeah, but this one he was just the last time he was Hugh Hefner. This time he was the
Right.
guy that
Drank the soda.
drank the soda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was a fun
It
scene.
looked delicious. It reminded me of
Surge?
people aren't going to remember this. It reminded me of MDX, which was like a Mountain Dew extreme drink. It was
Andy,
called
I don't
MDX.
remember that.
You remember that?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, okay. That's what I was just saying. People
No,
are
it looks
probably
like
aren't
that.
gonna-
What's that? What's
You
that
walked right into this
Peruvian
trap.
drink that you like?
Inca
Inca
Kola.
Kola?
Inca
Inca
Kola. That's what
Kola.
it reminded me
It,
of.
it feels like like the factory. I was like, that's what the Inca Kola factory looks like.
Okay,
felt it.
so plot. I thought it was serviceable, and I thought it was weird that it was so basic and simple. But I mean, they did what they needed to do, and I thought they did a good job. A better job than most Marvel movies I can even think of with the villain of introducing him as a normal person, getting him to where he needs to go. In terms of now you're just fighting a bigger version of yourself.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job.
I thought it was rushed, but I thought that they did a really good job with the character dynamics of him and General Ross, and how he at the end was like, "Fuck, I've been kind of wrong about this the entire time. Like I've been trying to put you in a box, and you're the only person that can save us." So I thought that was a good payoff toward the end there.
See, for me,
And
I felt like that
I
payoff was weak and weird because it was just like it felt like it was so just like
I
it
hated
was so quick
right
and it
turn.
was so like, oh shit, like you're just doing this because you're fucked. Like I didn't feel like he learned anything.
When they
I
were-
feel like he was just like,
Well,
I need you because shit.
When
there's
they were
this
on the
thing.
helicopter and
But I felt like he did when
Edward Norton's
when
like-
he saves their life in the helicopter, right? Where he goes when like the fire goes out and Ross like looks at him, right? Like I think that was what I'm saying is I think it was a good lead up to that point where I now believe that they would look at the Hulk and be like, let's just take a step back and like let him be for a second now and figure out how to do this instead of trying to constantly fucking catch him.
I don't know if it was part of the line delivery, but when Edward Norton's on the helicopter and they're looking down at fucking Abomination like messing stuff up or whatever, and they cut back to the helicopter and Edward Norton's in there, he's like, I can help. You need to send me down there, or whatever his line is. And then Ross looks at him and he's like, I don't know the line, but he yelled at him. And it's like, why are you yelling at him? This is all your fault.
Well, it was
dog.
also
Like,
a little bit weird when they're standing at the edge of the, I mean, this movie had a lot of weird points.
I know,
but
but
one was when they're standing on the helicopter and she's like, you can't do this. What if it doesn't matter? He's like, I got to take that chance. I'm like, what?
What?
What
And he dives out, and he doesn't turn. And I'm like,
I did like that when he's like, oh shit.
but what? That was so like. That was one of those
Well, because
movie
they didn't know
moments.
they had to keep you like, oh, we don't know
That's
if
what
we
I'm
should
saying.
shoot
It was
him or
so
not.
like,
But I was like, maybe don't take that chance with your life, bro, because you're cured. You can't do shit.
was
Who cares
better in
now?
Ragnarok.
Well, what's funny is that
Yeah, it was way better Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok did that same joke, and it was much funnier there. You know,
Well, I don't think it was supposed to be a joke. Yes,
Got it, yes.
it was,
They
but
did
that's
that
like
same
Thor Ragnarok's like
moment,
comedy.
right.
Yeah.
They did that same moment,
I hear you.
but it worked way
But that
better
was
as a
such
joke.
a great line, though. And
instead
Thor,
of-
Thor
yeah.
Ragnarok's so much better. So.
Another corny
You're gonna
ass
see
part
who
like
I am
that.
in 1 second.
that I did like was the very end, the where he's like training and trying to control the days without incident, and like smiles and his eyes turn green. The smile and stuff, I was like, oh god, you had to do that, of course. But like, I liked that the idea. Of
I remember
of him
like
learning how to control.
I liked it back then, and I liked it now, where it was like, oh, and that's what's interesting. When I know we're coming up on how does it tie into the rest of the universe, right? And it was the thing that, oh wow, like. This movie doesn't tie in really at all because
can't control the
I
powers.
forgot that it was him learning to control it. I forgot that Hulk speaks in this movie. Like I'm watching it with captions on, right?
6 words.
What?
Betty. Hulk smash.
And there was another one of like in the
Let me
factory.
go.
In the factory, it was something like
Leave me alone.
Yeah, you shouldn't go. Yeah, leave me alone or whatever. And it's just like, oh fuck! Like I forgot the Hulk ever talked because it was
But-
like when he does puny God in Avengers, they're like, whoa, that's awesome. And it was like, oh, he totally talked, and I totally forgot about
I
it.
hated the smile at the
like
end.
he does learn how to control his powers because in Avengers, like the first time we see him turn into the Hulk is when he's revealing that like
Remember, he's like,
I can
That's my
transform.
secret. I'm
Well, I mean,
always
like the
angry.
reveal is I can transform whenever I want, and he transforms. Punch this. We'll get there when we get there, but. Like I feel like those
But he couldn't.
parts.
I mean, he didn't control it when he flips on and chases ScarJo.
Well, I don't think he's perfect at it.
Well,
I think,
yeah,
I think,
yeah,
it was
I
like
think
him
he's-
starting.
With all
to.
due respect, I would feel years later you would be.
I think
but
no,
that's
If
you're-
if I'm doing this weird breathing thing and moving my fucking tummy around like that, man.
he feels like
No,
he's being
I
attacked.
think he
Makes
can
sense.
activate it
Problem.
whenever, but he can't
Yeah.
stop it from when it happens.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah,
boner.
yeah. Just like a boner.
that is exactly like a
All right, wrap it up, dude. That's it. We're not getting better than that.
I will give a shout out to all the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fans out there who haven't seen this in years.
It's a great moment.
Hickson Gracie is his coach at the beginning of the guy that slaps him in the face, which was
tummy guy.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see him in that. The Gracies have had they've dipped into film a little bit throughout the years, but this was the first time it was just like a straight up like, hey, you're actually in this.
Hey, it's
and
you.
he does his patented breathing. He actually does those breathing techniques.
Oh, he's the guy who's moving his
Yeah,
tummy
that's
around?
Hickson
Oh,
Gracie.
wow.
Yeah, so he's one of the
Diaphragm.
founding family members that brought over Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I
to the
definitely
United
didn't like
States.
when he couldn't have sex because of the
That was
the
upsetting.
heart monitor. I was like,
So
oh,
upsetting.
no.
setting.
Do you think
I
he can't
felt for
masturbate
him.
either? Do you think
Well,
he
now
can't
he's
just
controlled.
jack it?
That was the first thing he did when he learned to control it, I bet.
He's like,
No, but
"I'm
like you're
good."
still like, isn't that like? I think that's connected. Like no matter what, your heart rate's gonna go up. You know.
Not
that-
me,
in
not
that
if you're me.
particular
Just get
case.
married.
Pirates is the same.
Wait, Tim. Did you see in the trivia like one of the things? I can't remember who it was. I think it was a producer or maybe the director had said that the ending, the like zooming in on his face and he smiles and his eye like turns green, was to hint that like to be vague about him potentially being the bad guy in Avengers.
I did not read that.
Huh?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Which is, or he is in control and is going to be part of the team. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay, getting back to that smile at the end, I totally didn't like it. It felt like
Really? Oh.
it reminded me of a late '90s like super edgy action movie, and it kind of reminded me of like some of the Matrix movies. Sure. Like when there were just some cheesy parts in those films.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, I feel it was a good moment, but it was just a cheesy ass. Like,
Yeah.
it ruined the moment, and then immediately followed by the world's weirdest post-credits pre-credit
Pre-credit
scene.
thing.
It's like, all right.
I feel like that did a lot. Like,
What is he
I
drinking?
think if the
Midori
credits
sours? What
went-
the fuck was he drinking
He's
there?
He was
drinking
in
bourbon
Incredible Hulk.
on the rocks,
And
man.
on
It was green.
No, that's an Incredible Hulk. It's a drink. It's a cocktail.
First off, that's Epic Mealtime made that cocktail at
Really?
VidCon, and it makes you go blackout drunk. It's not a real cocktail.
That's fair. It's a Midori sour.
Yeah, okay, so we talked about plot, villain, talked about that. The action scenes, I thought that they ranged from like okay to pretty good. I was surprised. The scene, even though it looked like shit in the wide open field, like versus the sonic boom and all that stuff, there was some cool moments there, and I was like, this is unique compared to a lot of the other stuff we've seen in the MCU. I really liked the Hulk's movement. Like, I feel the way that they nailed Iron Man having a unique flight, the way he moves. the way the Hulk runs and like gains momentum, I was like, wow, like even he doesn't look great. The animation looks awesome, and they totally took that and have used that for Mark Ruffalo's Hulk.
Even the moment in the vehicle at the very end where the 3 soldiers shoot the RPG at Abomination, and he catches, or he knocks it away or whatever, and it explodes, or he catches it, right?
He catches it, yeah.
And he throws it away and it explodes or whatever, and then he starts coming after them, and like I was watching, I was like, oh man, this is like intense, like, and I can't imagine how scared they were watching this giant man, like, and they were reversing through traffic. I was like, this fucking scene's cool.
And also
man.
Blonsky, like when he was just a super dude, not Abomination yet, everything he did was fucking cool. Like I loved every fight.
He was like
scene
Jason Bourne or something.
And like just seeing him run, it's like, oh shit. And when he got thrown into the tree, I was like, God damn.
That scene was fucking intense.
When he comes into the lab later and like when he becomes Abomination, when he runs up the stairs and it's like a spiral staircase, he starts running up the stairs, then he jumps up on the rail and just starts running up the rail.
From side to side,
that's
too.
fucking cool.
Yeah, and I like how a lot of that stuff was then echoed later in Captain America, like when you have Captain America in was it Civil War, where it's like on your left, where he just constantly runs like 50 times faster than everyone. So they had those nice call outs. Yeah, I liked the way he moved. I thought a lot of the action was understated. I don't think it was like beat you over the head until we got, because I mean, what can you really do with the Hulk other than like try and stop him until you get something that's the Hulk in front of him, and then you can have a real fight scene. So the last fight scene at the end was cool. I remember liking it a lot more in the theaters when I saw it, because in this one there were moments where you're like, God damn, this looks like a cartoon. Yeah, because he throws the fucking thing up and it hits him in the face, and you're like, oh well.
That was
the chain was cool though.
It was cool. I also thought it was weird that it didn't snap his neck, which I just think is like straight up like, we want this character to come back, but that's not what you should do.
Your girl's looking at you, man. You got to do some shit, bro.
But why would she be like, stop?
I don't get that.
Like, snap his fucking neck.
Yeah,
this guy's a killer. He's gonna kill everything if you don't kill him. Like, whatever.
It's bad,
Take
man.
a cue out of Superman's book.
I guess there's so many people looking at him. It's like, oh, the Hulk's supposed to be better, but why?
Why? Everyone's terrified of this.
Well, we don't know who the Hulk, but like they don't.
Yeah. He's a monster too.
I don't want
We're all
to make on
monster
that.
inside.
No, I can't remember.
So that was all the action. And then, does it stand alone and universe building? I feel standalone. Yeah, it does. And that's kind of all it really does. Universe building, I feel like it's all retroactive, kind of everything.
It's all neat that it's there, but it just doesn't feel like it fits. You know what I mean? I like the Stark Industries stuff there. I like the Shield. I like the Captain America references. I liked all that, but it was just like, it doesn't feel like.
What it feels like is that they made this movie and then went in post and added Marvel stuff to tie it in. It doesn't feel like it was meant to be there.
Yeah.
Chilling with the Villains Corner.
Thank you. I was ready for this podcast.
Okay.
And what's up, everybody? I'm Greg Miller, and this is my co-host, Maximum Cortez.
Hey, guys.
Andy Cortez.
You feeling angry today?
This is what we call Chilling with the Villains, where we rank the MCU. Can we crop out the rest of them? We rank the MCU villains. Andy, we just saw The Incredible Hulk.
Right.
Where do you rank Abomination versus Obadiah Stane?
We gave Obadiah Stane a 10.0, if I'm not mistaken.
We did.
I'm giving Abomination a 9.93.
Oh, wow. Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
High ranks.
Weird
high
motivation.
ranks.
I mean,
Y'all are
when he turns
crazy.
over at the end, just a CG fest, just a guy like. But up until then, we're including the Eli Roth. Not Eli Roth.
Tim
What was-
Roth.
Tim
Even
Roth.
Tim Roth.
Yeah,
You
he
know
was
what?
great.
9.97. We'll change it.
I feel like you guys really shot yourself in the foot by giving Obadiah Stane a 10. I don't feel
I mean,
like
how can it get better?
Well, no. Hey, how do you know
Wait,
the scales?
jokes
you guys
aside,
haven't got to
How do you
the
know the scales
Chitauri
1
yet.
to 10?
Stay
that's
tuned,
good. What
everybody.
is it,
We'll be back
1 to 11?
next Tuesday at 9 a.m. with Chilling with the Villains.
Thanks, guys.
So for ranking the movies,
Yeah.
now there's two. There's Iron Man and there is The Incredible Hulk.
Did you say mend?
Did I?
No.
I thought so.
I don't think you did. No.
Hammered.
We're just off now. We feel
Wait,
like we
really,
give
really
the power
quick.
down.
Are we actually ranking the villains? Because I would put him over.
No.
Yeah, we are.
we
Do you
are.
want to be part of Chilling with the Villains?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, where do you rank them?
Hold on.
Oh, higher than
I'm sorry,
Obadiah
hold on.
Stane.
I don't know if I want Kevin to be a
Guys,
part of
I would
Chilling
also like to be considered for Chilling with the Villains.
I'm going to give Obadiah Stane retroactively a negative point, so I'm going to put him at 9. Okay? I'm bringing that down.
Okay.
Dare you
Now that it's getting serious, actually, this is a good coin. Is
Corporate greed.
Abomination
I think
better?
Abomination as a character
100%
made way more sense than Obadiah Stane.
Well, you're talking
who is a
Abomination
businessman that puts on a
/Blonsky,
goddamn
right?
robot
Yeah.
suit.
The two characters
I think
are
he's a
the
better
one.
villain.
But also, isn't
compared to Obadiah
isn't,
slash-
but here's the problem with Hulk.
Ironmonger.
Isn't Ross also the villain of this? Isn't he also the
But
antagonist?
you also don't know if my scale is like 0 is the best and
What is it, a
50's the
sliding
worst.
scale?
You don't know, dude.
Kevin came hard. He's on the show. He's on Chilling with the Villains, and I agree. We're putting
He's on the show as a
Abomination.
guest.
Okay, fine for this
I
one time.
say from here on out, we keep the villain podcast after the ranking.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Because the ranking's supposed to be serious. And
Well, I think we're being serious too now.
I think
Kevin's
that
being confused.
No. I'm not being confused.
I'm
I
confused,
actually
but I
think that the
also
villain things is important
like to be
because
chilling with the
we're gonna have a
villains.
lot of shitty villains coming up. And
All right, fine.
wanna
I
see
agree.
them,
Okay,
yeah.
so now officially it's Abomination Obadiah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Sorry to interrupt your podcast with our
Fine,
podcast.
It's fine. So,
SoundCloud.com/chilling with the
does
villains.
anybody have an argument that Hulk is better than Iron Man?
No.
No.
No, none of us are
No.
If you
crazy.
do, you're gonna have to swallow this mug in front of me.
Iron Man is it's a funner movie, and I think that that's what the MCU does. They make fun movies that you want to watch, and while Hulk is I think a pretty good movie,
Solid
Pretty good movie.
All right, solid movie. I'd rather watch Iron Man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's much funner.
I don't even know if it's the enjoyment factor as much as I think Iron Man is just a better made movie. Like I think Iron Man just succeeds in action and characters and plot.
I'm way more interested in watching Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.
I love Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. just talk shit and improv with.
It's
Jon
100%.
Favreau and all that
Iron Man succeeds in one small but very important thing with that movie. It's just really fun. It's really fun. Hulk, cool.
Yeah.
But it's the Hulk story.
fine.
It's the
It's
same Hulk
totally
story you've seen
fine.
all the time, which is he's being hunted and he has to say something at the end. And they're like, maybe he's not that bad. Spoilers, whatever.
It's funny because Gia hasn't seen pretty much any of these movies, so this is the first time that she's watching them. And when Hulk she was like, "Man, it's not that bad," but wow, it really is crazy that the best part of that movie was Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, yeah,
That's a little bit bold.
He's like, he's on the camera for 1 minute, but it's there's so much personality there. I'm like, that's the universe.
Hey, what's the
prepare
line? It's like, you
yourself
always
for
wear,
this.
such
You always have the best suits. He's
And
like, too shy.
yeah, you have no idea. Well, I don't wear a suit.
But
say
I
anything.
think
Remember his words at all.
Remember like this? Then he drank the blue milk.
I do think that the Abomination of Blonsky was such a better villain than Obadiah that I think the last third of this movie is better than the last third of Iron Man.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it comes to ranking, Iron Man's number
Okay.
1, Incredible Hulk. Number 2.
You heard
last
it here.
You heard it here first.
That is the
So
last
next week,
time it will be number 2 on this list. That's my prediction. It is going to continue down.
You
the
think
road.
Are you
Iron
sure
Man 2
Iron Man 2 is gonna
gonna
beat
be
it?
better than
Iron
the
Man
Hulk?
2 is better than the Hulk.
here's my thing. I'm
Save it.
excited for
Save
Iron
it the
Man
show.
2
I'm
because
not.
I'm feeling the same way I felt about Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, but I know that I have
yeah.
taste. So I know that I
What
didn't
does
like
that mean?
I
Missing
you don't have
one?
taste. That was a jab
I know
at
who's
you.
gonna be number 1 on the
like-
fucking Chilling with the Villains. It's gonna be Mickey Rourke. All right, motherfucker.
Whiplash.
Here's the deal.
Okay,
Here's the deal.
so-
You're
Man,
again
I've been saving
forgetting.
up to fight you forever. I'm knocked out.
You're forgetting
Oh, it's over.
a strong but subtle character in Iron Man 2, Sam Rockwell. Boom.
Great.
Hammer
Hammer,
Industries,
yeah.
whatever it was,
Hammer.
right?
He's all, Justin Hammer.
He does a little dance at the beginning
So
of the movie.
awesome.
He does the dance. You guys are in for
I
a
do remember
fucking
that.
treat.
It's too bad we
Monaco.
haven't seen him since Hammer.
Next week, Iron Man 2, Tuesday at 9 a.m. right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or podcast services. So just Kind of Funny. Just normal Kind of Funny.
Don't confuse Kevin.
Or podcast services everywhere. Until next time, I love you. Let us know your rankings in the comments below. Let us know what you think about Obadiah Stane. If you want to say Obadiah Stark.
No, oh.
Wait, we ranked him, right? We
Ladies
put
and
him
gentlemen,
second, right?
have a marvelous
Yes.
day.
Oh, that's good.
Put
That's
on the
really
books.
good.
I'm gonna put it in this book.
No me hagas duro. Tú no me gustaría cuando estoy duro.
That definitely doesn't mean what you think it means.